Welcome to another episode of Bridging the Gap, the BTG podcast. We are shooting after a really long break, and I know we haven't been very active in terms of our episodes or on our channel as well. But to compensate for that, I think. But firstly, wishing everyone a very happy Diwali.
Yes, happy Diwali.
Wishing everyone a very happy Diwali, and we hope your family, everyone is safe. Have a very safe, healthy, and fun and happy Diwali, I would say.
Yeah.
But coming to the main topic of discussion that we have,
and maybe our Diwali gift.
and maybe a Diwali gift to you. Yes, of course, maybe a Diwali gift to you. Today, our episode is a really special episode. Firstly, because we're shooting it with one of the most notable and one of the most hardworking individual that I have seen, that I've come across. And secondly, we are shooting it on an auspicious day as well. Dhanteras. And not to, waste the audience time a little more, we are shooting with the GOAT of Indian examinations. We are shooting with the master. We are shooting with Dr. Shashank Prabhu. So
welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking our time. It's already 9:30. We realize it's a weekday as well. We realize, and we know how busy you are. So thank you so much for taking our time
No problem.
from your schedule and shooting this with us. We're really excited. So before we start, there's one question that I want to ask you. How are you and why is that?
Okay. It's a very tough question to start with, honestly. So I'm content, I would say, honestly, with whatever I have been doing. And how is that? So I started my journey doing something.
Yes.
I switched a few things in between. I am doing something which maybe 10 years or 15 years ago I would not even have thought of doing. So it has been full of surprises, so to say. But it's been fun. I'm happy doing what I'm doing right now. And I hope to do even an even better job maybe going ahead. So let's see. Let's hope for the best.
So, sir, I think sir is really modest with his answers.
You're being very humble, sir.
Yeah.
Once we start, I think the layers will start coming out.
So don't worry, we are more nervous than you are. But sir, you're speaking about your journey, and I'm sure, we definitely want to know more about how you started and what you're doing right now. And of course, the audience, because this is our most demanded episode. This is our most demanded podcast. So, Anwar, I think...
Yeah. So firstly, pleasure to have you. Like Pritesh said, feeling the same, feeling a lot of excitement. And for the audience, I was telling sir just before we started that he's the senior most guest we've had so far. So it is an honor and privilege.
Thank you so much.
And as he's already asked you how you are, I think now that that's out of the way, let's, get to the real tough questions maybe, I don't know. But I want to start with, so we did a little research to know about you before we came here. I think the people already know who you are. We of course know who you are, but as podcast hosts, it's our job to prepare. So I want to start a little bit, maybe dial you a little back to your beginning, where of course you were at our age at one point. You were a school-going, college-going kid. So what was your aspiration then? When you started out, did you think you would end up where you are today? Did you think you would be a CAT guru or a MBA guru? What did you think of at that time?
No, not really, not at all. So honestly speaking, I come from that background wherein neither of my parents was academically inclined, so to say.
Right.
I don't think anybody had even dreamt of doing an MBA at some point in time or an MBBS at any point in time.
Yes, sir.
One small incident that I remember from my school days, I think it was kindergarten or first standard, I'm not sure. But that was the first exam that I had ever appeared for, right? And I had topped the exam. And nobody knew that I had topped the exam. I obviously was not aware of this phenomenon called being ranked first or something.
Yeah.
Neither was my mother aware of it. So nicely she took the report card. She was coming back home and suddenly one of her friends tells her that, okay, congratulations on getting the first rank. And she's like, ye kya hota hai? I'm not aware of this. And then she figured out that yahan pe kahin pe likha hai that I had stood first. And that was basically where it all started.
Yeah.
And during childhood, I had never had ambitions of doing something great in life, honestly. I didn't even know what all were the different career choices, so to say. No exposure whatsoever. My school was also something which was, which happened by chance. I was too late to get admitted into any other school. Oh. That's why I ended up being in the school that I did my 10th from.
Okay.
Right. And there was no ambition as such. Whenever people used to ask me during childhood, what do you want to do? I used to say a scientist or whatever came to my mind, right? So
Yeah.
it was always a variable answer.
Yeah.
Kuch to bolna hai, right? And I never thought of it, what happened, right?
Yeah.
Even after my 10th standard, I chose science because it seemed like it was the more difficult thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I chose medicine because it was the more difficult thing to achieve.
Correct.
I could have done my engineering in a parallel universe,
Yeah.
but I chose to do it because getting into a government medical college was a thing of prestige.
Correct.
I chose biology because I had scored the highest marks among all my subjects in biology.
Yeah.
So those were the things that led to the decision making,
Right.
which in hindsight was not really the best thing to happen, right? You need to interact with a lot of people,
Right.
get counseled in terms of what exactly happens once you choose a career path, and then you have to stick to it.
Correct.
But in terms of medicine, this is how the decision making happened.
Correct.
Once I got into Grant Medical College, which is again one of the best
Yeah.
colleges in
Yeah.
the country.
So I'm just going to stop
No.
you right there. For people, Sir, before he did his MBA, Sir did his MBBS, and we were obviously looking forward to ask you how that switch happened.
Yeah.
So now that you've already spoken about it, Sir, MBBS to MBA, how? Like, why did that switch happen? What was the mindset? MBBS first, and
Right.
And
how
because
was
now
that
you told
experience?
us why you did an
Yeah.
MBBS, because
Yeah.
you topped in bio, so
Yeah.
that's where you
Yes.
went.
Yeah.
But the transition.
Yeah, how did it move to MBA?
Yeah.
So during my MBBS, again, once I entered MBBS, I was very happy. In my first year, I was very happy cutting cadavers and getting into biochemistry and all those things. So I was very happy doing that. But after my first year, I realized that, okay, we have to think beyond MBBS as well. At some point in time, I will have to think about my master's or what exactly is it that I intend to do after my MBBS. And that's when I realized that it was not exactly something that I wanted to do for the next 20, 25, 30 years of my life, right? The subjects were very interesting.
Yeah.
I still keep in touch with medical subjects. In fact, I'm blessed with that kind of memory that I can recollect whatever I had studied
Wow.
maybe in 2004 till 2010 when I was doing my MBBS.
Wow.
So, but then again, it was not something that I was passionate about, right? And of course, it involves a lot of people's lives.
Right.
So I wanted to save people's lives by not practicing medicine. Right? So that was basically my interview answer as well in all my B-school interviews.
Yeah.
Right. But then I thought that, okay, in the long run, I was not very clear of what exactly is going to happen because it
Right.
takes a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
MBBS by itself is a 5.5 year
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
followed by maybe 1 or 2 years of medical officership,
Right.
then followed by 3 more years of post graduation,
Yes.
followed by
Yeah.
another 3 years of maybe medical officership, and
Yeah.
you don't really know where the world is going to be
Right.
after say 10, 12 years. Right?
Right.
So I can't
Yeah.
plan that ahead of time.
Right.
Yeah.
In general, I'm more of a tactical person than a strategy oriented
Right.
person. I can of course think about strategies,
Yeah.
but I'm very good at handling those 3 months, 6 month, 1 year
Yeah.
transitions than looking at say a 15-year picture. Right?
Yeah.
So that was what happened at that point in time. During MBBS, I realized I needed something more dynamic, something that could give me more control. Let's say,
Yeah. Yeah.
more towards the business side of things.
Yeah.
I was always good with numbers.
Yeah.
So I wanted something from there. Then I started exploring what all career options are there after MBBS. There used to be this website called Pagal Guy. It still exists, but at that point in time, it used to be
Okay.
like the
Yeah.
only portal maybe for
It's
MBBS.
Pagal Guide.
Pagal Guy,
Okay.
GUI.
Okay.
Pagal guy.
Right?
Pagal Guy.
Pagal
Okay.
Guy.
Yeah.
So that was what it was back then.
So,
Wow.
sir, since you brought up also, I mean, one of the most, I think, aspiring Indian examinations which a student looks at when the word MBA comes into his or her mind, CAT. So, sir, we want to know how was your first experience of giving the examination, because we stumbled upon an interview of yours that you did for NDTV. You had got 100 percentile in that. Okay, news flash. Sir is CET Rank1. Sir is CAT 100 percentile. Sir is IIFT 100 percentile. Sir is ZAT 100 percentile. What? I don't know what else.
That is left, but soon, hopefully.
Sorry, sir, which?
That is still left.
ZAT
but
is still left?
It should happen soon.
I know you're a 99.96 also. Yeah.
998 something.
So
It's
this
very
year, I think
Okay.
we'll get the good news.
Hopefully, sir. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We are confident that you will do it.
So, sir, like the word CAT, it is a nightmare for a lot of people. It's a blessing for a lot of people. So, talking from the reference of your NTV interview over there, we came upon the fact that it was your third attempt in which you had got 100 percentile.
Yes.
So, we want to know about those 3 attempts: the first, the second, the third. So, how was your first attempt as giving the exam for the first time? What was going through your mind? And the learnings that you took from the first and the second to become 100 percentile in the third.
So, honestly speaking, when I started with the journey of taking the CAT, let's say,
Yes, sir.
right? So when I decided I wanted to go for an MBA, I more or less knew that aptitude tests were sort of up my alley. I would manage
Yes, sir.
them fine. But to give you some context of my academic background, I had an 84% in my 10th standard, which used to be
Great.
sort of a big deal back then. Not exactly a big deal, but
Yeah.
theek hai, matlab,
Yeah.
better, above average kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Right? I got an 88% in 12th. Again, a decent enough performance. Medicine was more or less, I would say, not exactly the best student of my batch. I would maybe be around the 50th percentile or the 40th percentile, honestly speaking. But that was more because of my interest in medicine. As
Yeah.
such, right?
Yeah.
But coming to the aptitude tests, I was never supremely confident of being able to do an amazing job or being in the top 5, top 10, top 15 people in the country. So that was never a benchmark that I realistically believed would happen.
Yes, sir.
And that reflected in my first couple of attempts as well, right?
Yeah.
So because I did not know what it felt like to be 100 percentile or be the rank 1 in some test. So the first time when I took all these tests at the CAT, I was pretty nervous to start with. I got a 98.26 percentile balanced sectional. So each section was above 94.5, etc. But I got 98.26 overall, which wasn't good enough to get a call from any of the IIMs.
Right.
I did very well at the ZAT that year.
Right.
So I had a 99.96 percentile back then.
Right.
I did very well at the FMS entrance test. So
Yeah.
FMS used to have its own entrance test back
Okay,
then.
at that time.
At that
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
So now it's no longer
Yeah.
being conducted.
Yeah.
But I got calls from XLRI and FMS.
Okay.
Then again, I was not very good at GDPIs back then. Inherently, I was a different kind of an individual than
Right.
who I am
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
But that was one phase of my life that happened. But then again, CET happened that year.
Right, sir.
I don't know what happened. Right? I'm really good at speed tests.
Right.
I like solving questions in a quicker manner.
Yeah.
CET is like a 150-minute, 200 question
200
shootout.
questions. Yeah.
And not a lot of people end up solving 200 questions in 150 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
When I took the CET back in 2010, that was my first attempt, first season, 2009-10, that was my first season. I managed to finish the test 10 minutes before it actually ended. Right?
10 minutes is a lot, sir.
Huh,
I
so
mean,
yeah.
again, I was in that flow state.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I ended up getting a rank 1 in CET that year. It was the highest score in the history of CET. It still is.
Oh.
So some 179 on 200. Crazy,
Wow.
crazy stuff, right? And then I actually thought, अच्छा मतलब ऐसा भी हो सकता है, right?
हाँ, हाँ.
On a good day,
Yeah.
I have it in me to reach the top,
Reach
Yeah.
the top.
right? And rank 1, convincingly rank 1. इतना आराम से किया था. Then I got through JBIMS. I could have taken up
Right.
JBIMS that year. But again, no offense to JBIMS, but I thought that XLRI tha, FMS tha. I could not convert it because of my own shortcomings, so to say. So let's work on this for a year and then let's go for the next step.
So was it like, I mean, I'm sorry that I'm saying this, but was it more of an ego issue that came up to you? Ki,
Because that I didn't
yeah,
take
that you
JBIMS.
that you didn't go for ZAT,
हाँ.
you didn't go for XLRI, didn't go for FMS. JB था, but आपने बोला कि मेरा वो दोनों नहीं हुआ, इसलिए मैं करूँगा, मैं ऐसा करूँगा कि मेरा वो दो हो जाए.
हाँ नहीं वैसे नहीं था. So when I started,
Yeah.
I realized that I was decently good.
Right.
So I had 8 institutes in mind
Right.
from where I would have happily done an MBA, which were ABC, LIK, the
Yeah.
6 IIMs,
Yeah.
XLR and FMS. So ये
Yeah.
8
Okay, JB wasn't there.
JB wasn't there in
Okay,
that
okay.
in that list to start with. Again, that could be because of an ego or whatever. But
Yeah.
हाँ मतलब that
But
was
you
where I
have your
truly
aims,
liked
I
it.
Yeah,
think
yeah. I
you
mean,
had
it's
your
very
aims.
subjective
Yeah.
from person to
हाँ
person.
मतलब and once I started getting into that
Right,
zone
sir.
of taking tests and all, I realized कि calls निकालना was not a difficulty.
Correct.
Not being able to convert, and that was purely because of I would say my vanity. मतलब.
Right.
Yeah.
I always thought that being from a non-engineering background, I would have an advantage come the interview. I was too shy to discuss my answers with anyone else. I barely went for any mock interviews.
Right.
तो वो सब चीजें थी, right? And I realized it that ये सब issues हैं जो आगे जाके once I do my MBA,
Yeah.
I will always face these kind of issues, right? And that's when I realized कि I have to work on this.
Right.
So it was one part that. Another part was I did not want to do an MBA from Mumbai.
Because you were
wanted
living
to-
in Mumbai.
I was living in
Yeah.
Mumbai. I had been born and brought up in
Right.
Dombivli, right?
Right.
Which is
Yeah.
close to Mumbai, I would say.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get out of this. I did not want to be a day scholar. जहाँ पे मतलब I'm spending 2.5 hours traveling back and forth every day.
Oh, yeah,
I'm too
yeah.
tired to be involved in any activities
Yeah.
in college. तो वो सब नहीं चाहिए था.
Yeah.
तो I was very clear I wanted a residential program, and I was almost there. तो फिर बोला ठीक है, and a lot of my mentors at that point in time told me कि मतलब you are meant
for something
to
better.
do
More.
Yeah.
bigger things in life. तो मतलब don't settle. You have it in you. तो वो confidence मिल गया. CET gave me that confidence. I will always be thankful to CET 2010 for showing me what I can do, what I'm capable of, right?
Yeah.
So it was like an eye opener for you
It's an
कि
eye-opener.
मैं इससे बहुत ज़्यादा कर सकता हूँ.
So I value this rank 1 more than my CAT 100 percentile, to be very honest.
Oh.
Because यहाँ से it started, right? नहीं तो it would have
Yeah.
never occurred to me कि अच्छा ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है.
Yeah.
Right.
Then I prepared for a year. I worked for Pagal Guy. So I was on Pagal Guy earlier.
Right.
I used to be a part of discussions and all.
Yeah.
I gradually realized कि अच्छा ठीक है, if I am participating in discussions, I can also advise people.
Right. Right.
So even before I went for my MBA, I was advising people on how to get into B
Get
schools,
into B
या फिर why to do an MBA and all those
Right.
things.
Right.
So it was a fun experience. They offered me a job.
You got
I
it.
just took it up and बोला चलो this is exciting, let's go for it.
Yeah.
So from medicine I went into
MBA.
a community manager, editor, content manager kind of a role.
For Pagal Guy.
Pagal Guy. So that
Yeah.
was 1 year that I did.
Okay.
Learning ये था कि मतलब हाँ I can crack aptitude tests
Yes.
on my day. I need to do better in terms of GDP.
Right. Right.
Next year again I took a lot of mock tests. Mostly मेरा preparation mock tests.
So how many mock tests did you do?
I took some 80 plus mock tests
Oh
that
my
year,
God.
which was a big deal back then. अभी तो मतलब ठीक है. But back then you really had to like figure out कि कौन सा mock test देना है, कहाँ से निकालना है. But I took some 80 plus mock tests. I was consistently getting single digit AIRs back then. So my preparation was at a better level compared to 2009, right?
Right.
Then 2010 season happened. I bettered my score at the ZAT 99.97 and ZAT 11. For those of the audience who are there, if they look at every MBA test ever, ZAT 2011 is possibly the toughest MBA test that ever happened.
Yeah.
Oh.
To give you some context, the overall score was some 255 marks, out of which you were being scored. And the cutoff was expected to be 29-30 marks, 10% for the test, 10-15%. Right? So, wo level of difficulty.
Yeah.
I managed to get a 99.97 in that one.
Right. So,
FMS entrance test, I was ranked 7 in the country. Also.
right.
IIFT, I had a call.
Yeah.
Symbiosis, I had a call. Snap, I had a call. The only disappointment was CAT. So again, back then CAT used to be conducted across 2 weeks or 10 days, 20 days वैसे करके होता था.
Oh.
अभी कैसे नहीं है कि 2 slot में या 3 slot में
slot
खत्म कर
में,
दे. It's
yeah.
not like that. I managed to get some slot. 14 November, I remember the date, Children's Day, right? So that day I had my CAT. I don't know what happened. I spent a lot of time on one section, blanked out. Might have blanked out, I don't know. But then I ended up getting a 93.79%.
Yeah.
Someone who is getting a single digit AIR throughout the entire season,
Yeah.
getting a 93.79 was a shocker.
Yeah.
कि ये कहाँ से आ गया?
Yeah.
And
You
I've
didn't
been doing
expect
well.
it at all.
Unexpected. मतलब
Yeah.
chance ही
80
नहीं
plus
था कि
mocks देके
इतना
सब
मॉक्स
कुछ,
दो,
हाँ.
AIR 1 निकालो,
हाँ.
बाकी टेस्ट्स में like score
Right.
brilliantly.
Right.
So जैसे होता है ना, मतलब people have like one good day जहाँ पे
Yeah.
एक टेस्ट में अच्छा कर लेते हैं. I had that one bad day
Oh.
जहाँ पे I did consistently well across other tests.
Yeah.
One day was not in my way.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But because again FMS had their own test back then, I
Right.
cracked the interview, got through FMS,
Right. So,
took it up. So
Yeah.
मतलब it was one of those colleges that was there in my list. तो वो हो
Right.
गया.
Right.
The problem was I did not want my CAT journey to end with a 93.79. वो मेरे को नहीं चाहिए था, like right. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
I had applied to the CAT. Last day 2011 CAT का I asked a friend of mine to just purchase the form. उस time पे Axis Bank में used to get that form.
okay.
वो scratch fetch कुछ करेंगे, you used to get your code and all those
हाँ.
things, and then
Yeah.
you had to pay the fees and everything.
Yeah.
वैसे ना.
Yeah.
I asked her to just get a form. I'll just fill it.
Right. So,
जो भी slot मिलता है, जो भी center मिलता है, I don't care. I'll just fill it up and keep it ready. I had already joined FMS back by then.
Yeah.
तो फिर सोचा चलो देखते, let's see what happens. FMS में luckily placement खत्म हो गया. उसके पहले summer internship का placement process typically happens around October. That got done. Our semester exams got done November first week or so. And I was free उस time पे छुट्टी था when CAT was supposed to
So
happen.
you were back in Mumbai.
I came back to Mumbai.
Okay.
Mumbai का center लिया था.
हाँ.
I came back to Mumbai, went and took the CAT. Zero
How many-
preparation.
zero mocks.
Zero preparation. Pure muscle memory.
okay.
Okay. And funny thing, I come out of the test, I call my mother, and I say I won't be surprised if I get a 100%. Matlab, we hear all these stories, right? A lot of
Yeah.
toppers. Even I interview a lot of toppers, being a part of IIMs and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of cases people say कि ठीक है 99.5, 99.8 expected था, but 100 was something that surprised me.
Yeah.
Right? I had no such surprise वाला element in my head. I was like 100 नहीं मिला तो I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
Right? And I got that 100%.
Yeah.
Right,
So learning ये था कि मतलब you do your best when you don't put unnecessary pressure
when
on
you
yourself.
least expected also maybe.
Least expected. मतलब expectation हमेशा से था.
Yeah.
Whenever I go, even today if I go for a test, I'm expecting 100.
Yeah.
नहीं मिलता वो अलग story है. But
Yeah.
expectation पूरा होता है मतलब.
Okay.
I try my best to get to
Yeah.
that number, right?
Yeah.
तो उस time पे भी expectation था, but I hadn't prepared much. I think I was in a much more calm state of mind, so to say.
Right.
Already FMS में है हो तो फिर you don't really
There's no pressure.
there's no pressure कि अच्छा IIM अहमदाबाद ही निकालना है ये
Correct.
करना है तो you don't really get bogged down because of those things.
Yeah.
नहीं हुआ किसी को पता भी नहीं चलेगा मतलब ऐसा भी नहीं है कि all eyes are on you
Correct.
and you have to do well नहीं तो
Right.
फिर मतलब लोग
लोग
क्या
बोलेंगे,
करेंगे
हाँ,
those kind
हाँ.
of things, right? तो वो सब था नहीं. Just went and took the test without any pressure. I think that's where your mind works the best.
Yeah.
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 When you have no expectations.
No, when you have no
As-
pressure.
No pressure on
Yeah.
you. बिल्कुल pressure मत डालो.
Yeah.
There are good things that are going to happen at some point in time.
Yeah,
That is not exactly अच्छा ये नहीं हुआ तो फिर उसके बाद नीचे जाएगा लाइफ ऐसा तो नहीं होगा.
Correct.
But
So
sir,
that was-
so you mentioned you got a like 100 percentile, मतलब 0 marks देके, and उस time पे आप already FMS में थे.
Yes.
So didn't you consider कि I've got a 100 percentile, ABC तो निकल ही जाएगा मेरा, सारे निकल जाएंगे, I mean जो भी है. Then why did you still stay in FMS? Why didn't you switch? Like,
Or why didn't you try for IIM perhaps?
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean that.
I had applied to all the colleges उस time पे. ऐसा नहीं था कि I hadn't applied.
Yeah.
I had applied to the top 6 IIMs flagship programs के लिए apply किया था. I got calls from all of them
Right.
because of this. But then again, when I had applied for the CAT, उस time पे I had marked everything. But when the result came, उस time पे the situation was slightly different. The summer internship process was done. I had bagged possibly the most prestigious internship that people get out of these schools.
Okay.
It was with TAS, so Tata Administrative Services.
Yeah, right.
It was that. So again, it was a day zero placement and all those things. तो मतलब I was more or less sorted, settled था FMS के अंदर.
Yeah.
FMS has this wonderful thing called semester format of when the exams are
Right,
conducted. Trimester नहीं होता.
Right.
Good in a way, bad in a way. वहाँ पे you are graded in terms of percentage, not in terms of GPA. So the entire class is between say 60 to 70%. सब लोग वहीं पे लाई करते हैं. And the recruiters have no way of figuring out कि कौन कहाँ पे. Right, unless they look at each and every.
Right.
उतना तो नहीं पता चलता.
Yeah.
So that way I was settled. I wanted to get into marketing. That itna I had figured out by then.
Right.
Marketing के लिए FMS is as good as an Ahmedabad, Bangalore,
right,
Calcutta, जो भी college थे, सारी companies आते ही वहाँ पे. That way I was settled. Letting off FMS at that point in time and going to an IIM, if that happened, would mean that I would have been virtually doing a 3-year MBA instead of a 2-year MBA.
Because you already one year down.
1 year would have been done, and फिर उसके बाद और 2 साल का MBA करो with a much higher investment.
Correct.
FMS was 10,000 rupees per year. ATM से पैसा निकाल के we used to pay our fees, right? So it was that. वहाँ से निकल के मतलब getting into a 12, 13, 14 lakh का course, getting more or less the same outcomes as I was getting.
Right.
I was a part of the placement team at FMS, which is again a big deal.
Yeah.
So when everything is going on in my favor at FMS, there was no point of making that switch. So I didn't go for any interviews.
Okay.
I don't know. In hindsight, पता नहीं. Today I might have gone.
Yeah.
अगर कोई मेरे पास आता है, I will advise कि interview दे दो, देख लो what happens.
Correct.
Back
Explore
then I
all
was
possibilities.
Like,
Yeah.
Because that brand stays with you.
Yeah, right, sir, absolutely.
But ठीक है मतलब, fair enough.
So I have a question, sir, about life at FMS since we spoke about it. And you said you were in the placement committee as well. So college, obviously, a large part of college is the extracurriculars we do. So
Yes.
for a bit, if you could talk about what that role of the extracurriculars played in your life, what all did you do at college in those 2 years at FMS? And how was it? So, what all did you do if you could tell us?
A lot of things. So as I mentioned earlier, I was a very shy individual, right?
Yeah.
मतलब किसी के सामने बैठ के एक इंटरव्यू देना, right? I generally would not like being judged, right? कि कोई देखेगा.
You were an introvert basically.
Introvert, right? In fact, I did a 16 personalities test on myself.
MBTI is the
MBTI
MBTI,
वाला.
yes.
I identify as an ISTP.
Oh, okay.
But वो धीरे धीरे मतलब I think I'm
Yeah.
the borderline extroversion में उस तरफ आ जाता है.
हाँ.
It's somewhere around there. But वो उस टाइम पे I was a completely different individual. मतलब अगर ये हम लोग 15 साल पहले कर रहे होते, it would have been super awkward. Right? It's very difficult. FMS देने का one more reason मुंबई में नहीं रहना था because I wanted to be in an environment जहाँ पे nobody knew me, the real me.
Yeah.
Right? क्योंकि वो पता चल गया तो फिर I am always conscious कि यार इसको तो पता है कि मैं बात नहीं करता. Suddenly how can I start speaking? So I didn't want to be in that situation.
It's easier to open up in front of strangers sometimes than with people you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was basically FMS ka advantage.
You met Delhi people, sir.
Delhi people, very intimidating, honestly. First time I went there, I saw people getting out of cars. I come from a very modest, humble background, right? Till maybe couple of years back, I used to stay in Mumbai and all those things.
Okay.
So वो काफी it was a shocker for me, right? People coming out of cars wearing like crazy blazers and stuff, talking as if they own that place. I'm like, ये क्या चल रहा है?
Shocking to see such people got through FMS also.
नहीं, they're good in terms of content. I'm not saying कि वो, but content होना is one thing. Being able to
Personality
present it,
right?
And वो जो throw projection जो बोलते हैं हम लोग, entire perception management is there. That is brilliant. मतलब some people do it very well. So we had all people from what DC, IITD, Punjab Engineering College, DTU now, not DC, but NSIT, SRCC, मतलब क्या pedigree है colleges का, right? People from those colleges came to FMS, तो ये सब था. Now when I went there, consciously I will try to do something जो सोच के गया था कि मतलब हाँ, I will participate in everything that happens, right? कोई भी election है, I will be a part of it. कहीं पे भी GD के लिए किसी को volunteer करना है, I will volunteer. किसी को mock interview देना है, पूरे क्लास के सामने mock interview देना है, I will volunteer. Right? तो वो पूरा मतलब I let go of all fears. It's better to be made fun of in front of your batchmates or in front of 9 other participants in a mock GD than to be made fun of in an actual GD or in an actual interview, right? तो वो मैंने I let go completely. मैंने बोला पूरा let's get into that flow. बिंदास करो जो भी करना है. Nothing to lose. Nobody knows what you're doing.
Correct.
That was, I think, one of the best things that I did at that point in time. Getting into the placement team. So again, I'll not reveal the process, but getting into a placement team is a very arduous process, so to say.
Right.
बहुत rounds होते हैं. People say a lot of things. Maybe 2 batches will sit in front of you and they will ask you very pointed questions. कि तुमने ये assignment में यहाँ पे काम नहीं किया था, तो how can we trust you with the responsibility of getting companies on campus? मतलब they're good questions, pointed questions. Right? तो बहुत सारा perception management आ जाता है.
So politics होता है.
बहुत. So although FMS does not identify with DU politics,
right?
अंदर
उनके अंदर
तो हर जगह होता है.
FMS का local politics.
Wherever an election voting comes, so there has to be some politics. तो वो था. तो वैसे करके I improved my confidence. One very interesting thing that happened during the placement team का tenure was there were a lot of juniors that were there. As placement team members, we had to be very impartial, and we used to conduct these mock interviews and all with our juniors. तो वहाँ पे मतलब I could see people, right? Brilliant people. What CVs, मतलब 90 throughout, work experience with the top consulting companies and everything. They get into the interview room and suddenly उनका tone नीचे चला जाता है, right? And they become very conscious of their surroundings. Confidence थोड़ा नीचे आ जाता है. And I was like, if this person with this profile is under pressure when it comes to an interview, inconsequential interview with the placement team, then I have a chance, right? Because now I know what the other person's weakness is. Right? And there is this thing in German called Schadenfreude. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Okay. It's a very dark term, so to say. It's deriving pleasure from others.
Failure.
Okay, misery. Yeah.
So,
but sir, you have to be that ruthless. Right?
I am that kind of a person. So, if in a test, if everybody is holding their head and sitting, then I feel good about it. सबसे difficult है ना, अभी दिखाएंगे. Right? So that is basically the mindset. Right?
But so in today's world, I mean, you have to be ruthless in today's world.
And sir, honestly, that's a bit of a Michael Jordan mindset. He played games in a similar way of being ruthless, and that's what made him the greatest.
Michael Jordan identifies as an ISTP.
Oh wow!
So if someone
we can see the match.
The Last Dance, maybe.
So I've seen it. It's a tremendous series.
I'm mostly that kind of an individual. Extremely competitive.
Yeah.
Even if I'm walking on the road, I'll not let people go. Competitive.
Even if in the train, you'll be like, no, I'm going to sit here. You won't sit.
Extremely competitive. कुछ भी मतलब जो भी है.
Yeah.
Very competitive in मतलब somehow since childhood I have been competitive. Right, there was no objective as such. क्यों करना है करके, but
maybe that's the separating factor or the edge that takes you to be an all India rank 1. I mean, otherwise it may not happen.
Not just in one place, in multiple
consistently repeating it.
Yeah.
And we're saying this out because people hearing and us ourselves taking value from you, sir. it makes a difference, that the mindset and with
I mean,
which you're
of
doing
course, it
things.
inspires people also to, be
Yeah.
like that, to do better.
Yeah.
And especially now, we are sitting in an environment where even a 99 is not enough at certain points.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is required. I mean,
Yeah.
no question about it.
Yeah.
So, you want?
Yeah, sure. So transitioning from now, I mean, the college experiences, and that's how they've shaped you, coming to the professional life of yours, and how that transpired. You had a stint at ITC,
Yes.
following which you started your own company. So I would love for you to talk about that short stint where you were in the corporate world, how that was. And then, of course, transitioning to the main thing, Learning Roots, which is your startup, which I'll let you explain and for the audience as
Sure.
well. So over to you again.
So see, FMS generally, what happens at a B school is, I'm borrowing it from a movie. I don't know if people have watched this movie, Hindi movie called Luck by Chance, right?
Yeah.
In that, there is this anecdote wherein Shah Rukh Khan tells Farhan Akhtar that
Yeah, I've seen that.
तुम्हारी पहली फिल्म तुम्हें चुनती है,
Yeah.
उसके बाद तुम अपना काम चुनोगे, right?
Right.
It's similar to that in case of B schools as well, right? Your first company chooses you. You don't get a choice. The first company that you appear for and जिसका interview crack हो जाता है, that is basically your first job.
Your
of
first
campus,
job,
right? उसके बाद कोई extra effort मार के उसको stake पे लगा के generally नहीं करते, and होता है policy में भी generally you don't encourage those kind of things.
Yeah.
So that was basically what happened in terms of ITC as well, right?
Yes.
Again, I applied to a few companies. I was again good enough to get into one of the first few companies on campus in a tough year.
Yeah.
2013 was sort of a tough year in terms of B school placements,
Okay.
but managed to get into ITC. ITC was a fun experience. Honestly speaking, I still, I would not say regret, but I feel bad about not being a part of ITC for longer than what I was, right?
Yeah.
So it was
So
a
now
fun-
you're perpetually a part of ITC.
I am. That makes me feel even more ऐसे, मतलब ये क्या
That
हो
you
गया?
didn't stay on.
Yes.
Give little
So context, yeah.
Yeah.
Sir is married to ma'am,
Yeah.
who works in ITC.
Yeah.
So, and I met, in fact, like backtracking a little, going a little off,
Off track.
off track. I met Sir at a cricket match. So it was ITC versus IS,
Yeah.
and Sir was there along with ma'am.
Yeah.
And I was awestruck to see. I'm like, is that Shashank Prabhu? Is that Shashank Prabhu? Then I asked one of my dad who works at ITC. I asked one of Karan.
Right.
I asked him, Uncle, is that Shashank Prabhu? He's like, yeah, you want to meet him? Chalo. Because my brother and I, we were awestruck looking at you.
Okay.
Because I don't know. Obviously, you might not be remembering this. Both of us have had mentoring sessions with
Right.
you. So I mean, Sir has mentored so many people, but I mean, we were awestruck at that time. It was like, so sir, coming back, sir. I mean,
And it was a fun experience. मतलब ITC. So honestly speaking, for any person who gets out of a B school and gets a job off campus,
Right.
there is one thing that happens, right? The organization places an immense amount of trust in you.
right.
They don't know how you are going to work. It's on the basis of maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour of interaction across a GD, maybe a couple of interviews and so on, right? But then they place so much faith in your ability to hit the ground running, so to say, give you bucket loads of money, put you in a territory which you might not have been,
Right.
and then expect you to deliver results, right? Some people take it as pressure, कि अरे ये क्या हो गया करके, क्या हो गया. Some people might think, अरे मतलब इतना responsibility दिया तो maybe I deserve it,
Yeah.
right?
So
So
they take it as a challenge.
yes, so I come from the latter part.
Right. Sir.
It's very intriguing, right? So I was placed at Vizag for
Right.
my
Yeah.
management
Yeah.
training
Yeah.
stint.
I was like Andhra Pradesh.
Andhra Pradesh.
Visakhapatnam.
Yes, Visakhapatnam.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had no idea of the territory. I have never been to.
And the language in South also plays a
I have no idea about Telugu.
Yeah.
Right, and I was there. I have no idea what happens in terms of cigarettes. Cigarettes के brands कौन से? उस time पे नहीं पता था. अभी
Yeah.
I know. But उस time पे I'm not a smoker.
Yeah.
तो cigarettes के brands क्या है? वहाँ से लेके marketing कैसे होता है? There are so many intricacies involved when it comes to even packaging cigarettes, and ITC is brilliant at those.
Yeah.
मतलब, everything is scientifically designed.
Yeah.
In fact, when you open the packet, the order in which the cigarettes are, so 2-1-2-2-1-2 करके, that's a way in which they put it, so that you can remove it
Right.
easily, right? So
Yeah.
those kind of
Yeah.
छोटी चीजें,
Yeah.
the way in which the packets are cut, octagonal shape होना चाहिए, sir round corner होना चाहिए, right?
Right.
So there is a lot of thing that goes into manufacturing a product, right? तो वहाँ से शुरू हुआ, मतलब I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
The way in which you sell products, be it
Right.
personal care, be it
Yeah.
foods, be
Right.
it cigarettes, be it stationery. It is very interesting. And geography का मेरे को कुछ idea नहीं है, right? उस time पे, and I have no idea what Vijayawada is, where a Vijayawada is, where a Vijayanagaram is, where a Srikakulam is, Kakinada, Rajahmundry, सब alien territory है. But within 5-6 months, I think I had covered most of coastal Andhra Pradesh. It was a great experience. मतलब learning कि business actually चलता कैसे है.
Right, sir.
How are brands built, how
Right.
exactly is the market, competition कैसे देखते हैं, all those things, right? Great learning experience.
Yeah.
But how was the atmosphere at ITC? Like, was it इतना pressurizing जितना लोग कभी-कभी बोलते हैं? It's very pressurizing.
हाँ.
But did you feel comfortable as an individual over there?
It was good. मतलब see, honestly speaking, you have to be good at your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places where people can feel pressure.
Right.
Right. अगर मैं simply पूछ लेता हूँ कि मतलब let's say for example if I head your podcast division at an organization,
Yeah.
and I asked you कि मतलब कितना viewership है,
Right.
what is the average duration,
Right.
and you might not have answers to those questions. Let's say for example.
Yeah.
Then you will feel pressure. ये क्या question पूछ लिया
Right.
ये हम लोग थोड़ी ऐसे numbers के थोड़ी कर रहेगा.
Yeah.
But if you are like very good in terms of numbers, you are very good at your craft,
Right.
you will find a way to figure out what those numbers are.
Right.
So that way, pressure hota hai. Obviously, there will be pressure, right? And because it's a 7-day job,
Right.
sales is a 7-day job, right? There is no 5-day working week or 6-day working का concept. Of course, there is a Sunday technically,
Yeah.
but कोई market Sunday को open होता है, Monday को close होता है, कोई
Right.
Monday को open होता है, Sunday को close होता है,
Right.
right? Those
So
things
it's
happen.
very variable. Yeah.
It's variable. There will be something that will be happening on a Sunday,
Correct.
right? There will be something that will be happening on a New Year.
Right.
Yeah.
There will be something happening on a Diwali, a big billion day, जो भी है, I don't know.
Right.
Right? तो वो चीजें होंगी. Now there will be pressure, and there will be pressure everywhere.
Right. So,
फाइनेंस जॉब में भी होगा, कंसल्टिंग में और ज्यादा होगा शायद, HR में भी होगा, डिपेंडिंग ऑन whatever you are doing, right? So there will be pressure, but if you are like really enjoying your work, if you are doing it well, then you can handle it.
right.
And the initial few years there will be pressure, and I have a very basic theory for this, honestly.
Luck plays a role in this.
In getting your boss in a way.
Yeah.
Some days it does, sometimes it does, because you can't choose your company.
Choose your-
Your company chooses you.
But you don't think कि जैसा बॉस मिल गया, मैं अपना काम करूंगा, and I'm that stubborn कि I'll make him like like me or whatever, make him appreciate me.
Maybe
You can't
initially
force.
yeah.
You can't force it. But matlab, you have to understand what your boss wants, right?
Yeah.
See, you might believe in two different things,
Right.
but at the end of the day,
He's your boss.
He's your boss, or he or she is your boss.
She,
Yeah.
sorry.
So, matlab, you have to understand कि क्या करना चाहिए.
Right. Right.
See, you're not just fighting your battle in an organization. मतलब
Yeah.
now 10 years wiser, I can maybe give this advice.
Yeah.
उस टाइम पे शायद मैं भी वो रेबल मोड में था कि मैं टी-शर्ट पहन के जाऊंगा, कौन क्या करेगा. I have done those kind of things. Right? I have had people looking at me, my boss's boss looking at me and saying, "अच्छा, you are from FMS करके," because I'm wearing this big printed FMS का t-shirt to office, and it's like okay करके. So I've done funny things in the past.
Yeah.
ऐसा होते है like you're like तू कौन से B school से, तू कौन से B school से.
नहीं, मतलब that was sarcastic
Naturally,
comment, right?
yeah.
No, but like just for fun.
Not really. इतना नहीं पूछता कोई.
Okay. I think once you start the job, then it's
Nobody.
kind of behind
Nobody
you.
cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then your job speaks for
Right.
for
Yeah.
yourself, right? So basically, I was saying कि once you get into the corporate, right, and जो भी मतलब pressure वगैरह whatever is there, the one thing that you have to realize is that you are not just fighting your battles. जहाँ पे I am trying to impress my boss.
Yeah.
Right. Your boss also has someone that he or she is reporting to,
Right.
and that person is solely dependent on you, completely dependent on you, to make him or her seem better in front of their boss.
Them.
Right? If you are not aligned to that perspective, you will always end up not giving something that that person can use. And अगर वो person वो चीज use नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, then definitely they will have some angst or
With
some discontent in terms of what you are doing.
Yeah.
Then they might not really fight for you. They might not fight for you even otherwise. जरूरी नहीं कि वो लोग fight करेंगे ही करेंगे, right? For your promotions or whatever,
Yeah.
transfers.
Yeah.
But you have to do something which will make them look good as well.
Right.
You have to give that kind of an insight, that kind of a project maybe you pick up and you do it. So you have to always think about it from that perspective as well. सिर्फ अपना एक one level of perspective might not really
Right.
take you
Yeah.
places,
Yeah.
but that kind of a thing generally helps.
Right.
So ITC I learned all these things.
Yeah.
Couple of years I spent, almost 2 years, 22 months I think I spent at ITC.
Okay. Okay. So continuing with after the ITC stop, where 22 months that got over, how did that come into learning roots? And obviously, where did the idea come from? How did you transition going from a job to a startup? That too in 2015, I think, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
It wasn't a time where there were so many startups as we have today. So
Right.
it's a loaded question, but How, why, what was the thinking behind it? How did you transition? I want to know everything, sir.
And so to add on to what Anvay said as well, generally people don't leave their first job that they get very easily.
Yeah.
Especially if you're working in a good company, like one of the most renowned FMCG companies in the country. That risk taking element that I would say to job chhod do, apna startup kar lu. Like what was it?
All right. So difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
Right. But then again, so you can like doing multiple things at once, right?
Yeah.
So first thing was, of course, ITC. I was enjoying the stint. It was a fun stint. Maybe after a year and a half, I felt that okay, I finally had my bearings. The last couple of months, even in my notice period when I quit ITC, we hit all-time highs in terms of sales. So I was handling the personal care portfolio, right? So that time we did those kind of things. So I liked what I did there. But then again, there was that prep angle. So since Pagal Guy, right, I had been advising people because of that 100 percentile. I got a lot of media fanfare. A lot of people approached me. I was popular across various media. So time pe LinkedIn, Quora, Facebook, all those things were up and coming. Right. And I had a crazy number of followers across platforms.
You still do, sir.
I still do. Everything is from then. Right. So crazy number of followers. So वहाँ पे I thought कि मतलब हाँ, this is something that I enjoy doing. Maybe in the long run this will give me more happiness than what I did at ITC. So I thought कि let's see, चलो let's do a pilot maybe and see how it works. If there is genuinely any demand for prep. Typically prep is a 3 to 4 year cycle. Honestly speaking, right? So let's say for example you intend to take CAT 23, right? So what you would have done is you would have started preparing from 22 chalo. August, September, October 22, 1 year pehle se you started preparing for CAT. Your CAT gets done in 23, you get into a B school, 24, 26 tak you are done. 27 maybe because you are in that management training ka stint, you are still associated with your B school, immediate junior se kuch interaction hota hai. After 27 you lose touch. Right. So 22 se leke maybe mid 22, end 22 se leke mid 27 and 27 tak 4-5 years ka, that is basically the life cycle. In my case, I was in this entire space since 2009 2010. We reached 2015. I thought कि मेरा relevance अभी भी है in the sector. Right. Now is probably the time to maybe start something on my own अगर करना है तो, because there will still be a significant amount of population who would know me. Once you cross the 2016 2017 you become irrelevant. You are 100% relevant. वो नहीं जा सकता कहीं. It's a CV point that you will always have, right? But the problem is people can't relate to you directly. Right. So that's why I thought that 2015 might be a good time for me to let go and start something. 2014 CAT ke time pe, so there were 3 of us who started. So Sriram, Prasad, 3 of us started learning routes. So वहाँ पे 2014 के time पे both of them were based in Mumbai. I was in Vizag back then. So they did some pilot, they did some workshops leading to CAT and the response was pretty good. So वहाँ पे we decided okay, there is place for us to be there. We have strong credentials. We teach well. People understand when we are teaching. That is what we figured out. Right. So फिर चालू कर देते. Let's see. Let's start. Completely bootstrapped. Nothing. The good thing is that we did not really have any baggage in terms of having a family, starting a family. जो भी है. Buying a place, having car की EMIs, कुछ भी. Those things were not there. So we thought it was a good idea to start early. Instead of then getting stuck in some commitments and उसके बाद फिर start करना will become very difficult.
No liabilities.
No liabilities. Out of FMS, my partners were from JBIMS again.
So how do you meet them?
Okay, so Prasad mentored me when I was preparing for the CET.
Okay.
So he's 2 years senior to me in terms of JBIMS.
Oh, it's Mr. Prasad Sawant?
Prasad Sawant, yes.
Oh, okay.
So he did his MBA JBIMS 2009-11.
Right.
I did my MBA 11-13. So when I took CET for the first time, he basically used to turn up for these Pagal Guy meets.
Right.
And he used to talk about how to do better. So that's how I met him. And Prasad and Sridham were quizzing partners.
Okay.
So they have like one Tata Crucible Regional, Mahindra AQ and all those things. So they have won a lot of these quiz competitions. So that's where these two people met. So वैसे करके 3 of us decided, चलो let's see, let's do this, right? And it was one thing was you are basically your own boss, right?
Yeah.
Which was true back then, which is true now as well.
Yes.
And you liked that culture.
I like, the ठीक है. I think you are responsible for your own things.
Right.
Yeah.
You have strong credentials.
Right.
You have a good work ethic.
Right.
That is good enough
Right.
for
Yeah.
someone to start their own thing, right? तो completely bootstrapped, वहाँ से शुरू किया. We started with CAT, CET, added GMAT, GRE, did a bit of placement training, B2B kind of a setup, ऐसे करके किया. So we did a lot of things. One learning, honestly, that I had, and maybe if I go back in 2015, might have changed it by a bit. Even today, when someone is a budding entrepreneur, I will advise them this one thing.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck in doing operational work. If you have a startup, right?
You can give us advice, sir. So technically,
don't get stuck in doing operational work. Right? So यहाँ पे मतलब अलग था. This is a proper client-facing, service-oriented thing that we are doing, right? वहाँ पे मतलब we had a lot of layers to it. Office management से लेके मतलब it would involve everything. If there is going to be a water cut, then I have to be in office to make sure that the tap is on and we are filling the tank. वहाँ से लेके pamphlet print करना, उसका artwork बनाने से लेके getting the pamphlets printed,
right,
standing outside a B school and distributing those pamphlets, making sure that we pick up the phones, we get people inside our office and counsel them. Parents से बात करो, test design करो, टेस्ट वाले वेंडर से बात करो, everything basically everything you're doing. बैंक के अंदर check deposit.
You didn't outsource anything.
We didn't outsource anything.
And you probably don't even have the capacity to at the start because you have to do everything.
Everybody has,
yeah.
right? One resource, again I don't know.
Yeah.
Even in today's world, you can get a decent resource at maybe 4 LPA, 5 LPA kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good investment.
Okay.
Right? Because then you end up doing something that you are really good at.
Yeah.
Right? You might be good at a lot of things. So I'll borrow something which I heard. I don't know, unpopular opinion, but I heard something from Ashneer Grover. I believe I'm quoting it correctly. If I'm not, then apologies. but somewhere I read that he had mentioned that okay, I can drive better than my driver. Let's say. But that doesn't mean that I will drive. I will use that time to do something that I am better at. Right. And that is basically how you utilize your time.
Yeah.
Operational चीजों में घुस गए, it's very easy, right? It's very easy and it's very fulfilling. कि मेरे पास ऐसे to do list है, मैं टिक करता रहता हूँ. I have done 4 things. I feel content कि अरे क्या काम
मैंने बहुत काम किया.
पर कुछ नहीं किया, operational work ही किया end of the day, right? Business बढ़ाने में you have done nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And that is something that you need to do. Of course, all of us were workhorses, so we managed it in spite of this. But of course, for budding entrepreneurs, one thing that I would strongly suggest is ये करो. Get good people. Invest that kind of money. Even if you're bootstrapped, I don't think 3, 4, 5, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs is that big an amount कि तुमसे होगा ही नहीं करके. It will definitely help you scale up faster. So that was the learning. Otherwise, it was again a good space to be in. We catered to a select crowd of students. 100, 200 odd students every year. जिसका direct interaction था. बाकी test series, online programs and also were definitely more than that. But वो सब था. Right. So that was what we did at Learning Roots.
Okay.
Good experience.
Yeah. And how did that then switch into IMS? Because I think right after that is when the IMS career started, and IMS is, I think, today as what probably most people would know you as, and it's one of the most iconic.
It's one of the most
learning centers.
Like the most renowned coaching center, coaching center, chain of coaching centers all over the country.
Every person I knew in 11th and 12th standard, if they were studying for CLAT or be it any of these exams, everybody said we're going to IMS. Everybody knew about it.
Good to hear that.
So
even my first. When I was preparing for CAT, I was in IMS only.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I never went that route, but if I had to, I would come to IMS. So, but anyway, coming back to, so from Learning Roots to IMS, I believe, so you did tell us that Learning Roots was acquired by IMS, if I'm saying it correctly.
Okay, so.
But yeah, you can
technicality थोड़ा सा अलग है.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about that.
Sure.
But if you look at how this happened, so at some point in time you have to scale up.
Yeah.
Right. You have to handle larger responsibilities.
Yeah.
Learning Roots, we had one center. We had it at Dadar in Mumbai. Right. So that was the only center that we ran. Again, limited capacity. One classroom could be filled at a time. One small classroom. ऐसे करके setup था. Right. At some point in time, we had to expand. We had to grow larger.
Right.
There are 2 ways to expand. One is you do it on your own. Maybe set up a franchisee kind of a model. जहाँ पे मतलब you will have multiple
learning root centers.
Learning root centers. We basically deliver the brand and someone else does the
teaching,
execution. जो भी content का delivery, someone else does it for us. The other way is you get associated with a larger brand, and then you handle larger responsibilities, address a larger team of people, a larger pool of people rather. So वो था. So there were these two things that were there, top of my mind. We chose for the latter. मतलब existing कोई बड़ा player है, let's say for example, या big organization is there, just check what exactly is going on, what kind of opportunities are available, is it better than what we are doing here, right? In the long run, will this make more sense? Those kind of questions were there.
So did they come to you or you approached them?
So it was more or less mutual.
Okay.
So I knew someone who knew someone at IIMs.
Yeah.
Someone from IIMs had already approached us once just for collaboration.
Right.
Take over करना है जो भी करना है.
Yeah.
मतलब साथ में कुछ
like it happened to
together.
2IIM, those.
That's what we do,
Yeah,
right? So we
right.
generally have some collaborations. That
Right,
are,
yeah.
मतलब
right.
चलो collaborate करते हैं.
Yeah.
Both of us are in the same space.
Right.
Both of us are doing a sincere, good job
Right,
with
right.
credibility. तो
Yeah.
मतलब we
Why
would-
not
we
do
would like
something
to do
together?
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
तो
Yeah.
पहले से मतलब we had that kind of an equation, and prep space के अंदर it's a very small community, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So everybody from across organizations will know each other.
Right.
तो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि कल को if someone says अरे शशांक प्रभु कौन है पता नहीं, इसका नाम ही नहीं सुना, ऐसा नहीं होगा.
Yeah.
But similarly I would have heard of someone somewhere कहीं पे तो किधर
Yeah.
कैसे
Yeah.
तो मिला होगा या नाम देखा होगा कुछ.
Same
Right.
sector में हो तो usually
Same sector, and it's a very small
जानकारी
sector.
है.
ऐसा
Yeah.
it's not like an ITC FMCG kind of a thing. मतलब हजारों लोग हैं.
Yeah.
There's a select group of about 100-200 people who
Yeah.
are doing a good job, and all of them more or less know each other.
You would have heard of Sumit Sir also, right? Catking.
मतलब बहुतों के बारे में सुना है. We know more or less, right?
Yeah.
So
In fact, I met him like that day only.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
had gone for ऐसे गरबा के लिए
गरबा.
गए थे. So he was there.
oh.
Then I because he's very active on YouTube
Right,
and all.
he's-
So then I recognized, saw him.
तो वो मतलब वही, so
Yeah.
everybody knew everybody.
Knew each other,
So
yeah.
यहाँ पे मतलब more or less connect था.
Yeah.
So we just went and checked कि अरे चल क्या रहा, मतलब कुछ है कर सकते हैं. Let's see.
Yeah.
They were also looking for some people in this space. In fact, that time IMS was growing.
Yeah.
Right.
So 17-18 से I think IMS saw a huge
Right.
upswing in terms of students getting onboarded. Now, तब
Yeah.
तक they were still building. So IMS is a very old brand, by the way.
Yes. yes.
IMS started in 1977.
77,
So
right?
we
yeah.
completed what, 46 years,
Wow.
right? Or we completed 46 years, I think.
Yeah.
So 46 years हो गए हैं. People might not know because if you go to an IMS center, it seems like a very contemporary brand, right?
Yeah.
The way in which the classrooms are designed, the color scheme that is used, and all those things. So you put a lot of thought
Yeah.
into all those things.
Yeah.
But तो nobody knows कितना पुराना है.
Correct.
But ये 17-18 से
Over time, it's evolved.
Right.
Probably
It has
that's why.
evolved.
Yeah. Yeah.
lot of good people joined around that time. A lot of old hands, मतलब जो 15-20 years से मतलब have been associated with IMS.
Right.
Yeah.
So IMS has that mix. People who are very young into the organization, people who have been their pillars. They have seen a massive upswing 2005, 6, 7 में जब CAT एकदम पीक पे था उस टाइम पे, फिर जब थोड़ा नीचे चला गया 14-15 में when it dipped, again 18-19-20 में when it 18-19 में it came up, 20 में it went down, 21. So all those crests and troughs people have seen वहाँ पे.
Yeah. Yeah.
So वो team is very very dynamic in nature. So then I had a nice discussion with them. They offered us one thing, so I handled their cluster.
Okay.
So Thane, Mulund, Vashi after a point in time, right? So those 3 centers, Thane International 4 centers. उनके operations पूरे handle करना, delivery of content, mentorship more or less. So all those things were my
Forte.
domain. मतलब मेरा that was attributed to me वो था. तो business kind of a role भी था, operations भी था, delivery भी था, everything was there. So that was what we got, and of course the content, the IP that we had.
Yeah.
In terms of recorded content and all,
Right.
we passed it on to IMS for a certain fee. Virtually we can say it's an acquisition.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Right.
technically हाँ मतलब we can't
Yeah.
say it an acquisition as such.
Yeah. You just sold your content.
Content वही
Your
था हमारे
product,
पास.
maybe you can say
And
your
two of us went and joined IMS. Prasad and I both of us are
Right.
with IMS now.
Yeah.
तो हाँ मतलब
Prasad sir is the in charge of CET, right?
तो Prasad does exactly the same thing that I do. He is
He's
also
national
a
chief
program
mentor.
director. He's a program director
Okay,
for,
program.
for CAT. So both of us are
Yeah.
program directors. We handle थोड़ा
Right.
overlapping responsibilities and diverse responsibilities.
Right.
So both of us sit next to each other at the head office. Right? तो वैसे करके we got into IMS. IMS के अंदर वही first my so IMS के अंदर one good thing is because it's a relatively smaller organization compared to an ITC.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get to choose what you want to do, and if you are good enough, then you get to do what you want to do.
Right.
So IMS के अंदर I started my stint as a cluster head for a region. my next role was with the online learning team during COVID.
Yeah.
तो उस time पे we built our online program, the self-learning program that is there, video solutions to test, सब video content जो था.
Yeah.
No other player was able to do it that quickly.
Yeah.
But because we had a team who had already done it in the past, so I had already used Zoom ke platforms. We had done audio editing from our side.
Oh, wow.
Again, as I said, operational things.
Yeah.
So audio edit karna, video edit karna, Camtasia, all those things we have used.
And even the fact that you used Zoom before COVID, that's
Before COVID.
interesting. Yeah. That's
15,
interesting.
16, 17 I think we have used.
Wow.
So उस time से वहाँ पे we had figured out कि अच्छा कौन सा platform is the best for us and all those.
So you have sort of predicted future कैसा होने वाला है.
The only one regret that I might have is like pulling out a bit too early. So I joined IIMS in Jan 19.
Yeah.
1.5 years here and there. We would have done a much better job, like after the onset of COVID.
Yeah.
But ठीक है, मतलब जो भी expertise था, we passed on to IIMS. IIMS did very well.
Right.
Yeah.
तो that way ठीक है, मतलब गया नहीं, waste knowledge कहीं पे गया नहीं.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing. But वहाँ पे second stint was with the online learning team, so learning management team as we call it. My third stint was the program director for GATE. Now GATE is a completely different vertical, right? GATE has got nothing to do with CAT or MBBS or MBA, कुछ नहीं है. GATE is purely technical, mechanical, civil, electrical, electronics, instrumentation, ये सब चीजें आती है उसके अंदर. I have no background in those things.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. You are
No, I always take these kind of things. So मतलब people can pursue my entire career in two ways. या तो मतलब इसको कुछ भी करने नहीं आता, तो ये हर 2 साल में कुछ तो करते रहता है टाइम पास. या फिर मतलब you are doing everything so well that ठीक है, मतलब you are keep on doing new things. I don't know which way to take it, but I would prefer the latter. But then again, वो GATE वाला एक stint था. One year we did. I did GATE. थोड़ा rationalize किया. So we had got it from somewhere else. So got it. Scalability वगैरह थोड़ा उसको rationalize करके. Then this year February में I joined the CAT team.
Right.
Became the program director for management studies PG.
Yes.
So 5 years in IIMS. This is my 4th stint.
Right.
So that is an advantage of being in a setup like IIMS, जहाँ पे there is something that will keep you interested.
Interesting. Yeah.
There's always it's dynamic in a way.
Maybe if I meet you next year, I might be doing something else.
But with IIMS.
Let's see. Hopefully. But yes, I mean, there is a lot of scope. There is a lot of work to be done. Honestly.
Right.
So definitely.
Michael Jordan mindset.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's the GOAT mindset.
Yeah. And like Michael Jordan also in Last Dance, I'm diverging a little bit, but because we spoke about it, he obviously played for 10 plus years. He won the 6 championships, 2 3-peats. And then he switched his career. In the middle, he tried baseball also. Then he came back to basketball. Then he bought his own team, and now he's a team owner, which I think he recently sold. But even he got on both sides of the game. And
so that's also one fine day, he just figured out, I want to do something else.
Yeah.
So those kind of things might happen. But it's fun. But now I have realized, honestly, looking at VT as in ITC mein, she has spent 10 years now, right?
Yeah.
So both of us joined ITC.
Right.
On the same batch. She is my batchmate from FMS as well.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
So both of us studied at FMS together.
Yeah.
She joined ITC. Both of us joined ITC. She's still with ITC.
Yeah.
I appreciate. So longevity is something which I started appreciating a lot later.
Yeah.
Right. So at IIMS especially, I have appreciated that bit. Again, once I saw, I'm like, ठीक है, मतलब लोग 10 साल एक कंपनी में बैठ सकते हैं. Even in today's day, कर सकते हैं. And there are always opportunities available even within the system.
Right.
You need not jump out of the ship the first bad things happened. First bad thing happens to you. वो वैसा नहीं है. There is plenty of work to be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
तो वो hand, of course, the more consistency you have in your career, the better off you will be. Because with experience, there are a lot of things that happen subconsciously. तो अभी prep के अंदर this will be my 10th year I think. 15 से लेके 9th year.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
तो मतलब that has added a lot of value. So I don't see myself getting out of the prep space per se. But हाँ मतलब.
Because that is something that you're never going to let go of. Like.
हाँ अभी expertise, that's what मतलब इतना मेहनत करके expertise establish करने के बाद then getting
no point changing it also. Yeah. And no, I think I'm sure, sir, at some level you feel okay, I'm fulfilling it. Like some life purpose. I'm saying some, it might be everything for you. So do you feel that sense of, I'm doing what I was meant to do, you know? Do you feel that?
I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very deep question.
That is a deep question.
So every day, whatever, any good thing happens, right? Some meeting happens, I get appreciated. Some milestone gets achieved, I feel good about it.
Yeah.
It's always about what's next,
Yeah.
right?
So you don't sit and dwell on जो अच्छा हुआ होने दो
हो गया, हाँ.
और अच्छा क्या कर सकते हैं
Process
इसके साथ.
था,
Yeah.
achievement हो गया, ठीक है.
You're still more ambitious,
Yeah,
basically.
that's the correct word.
I think-
Ambitious.
Something
Yeah.
else needs to be done. मतलब ठीक है,
Need
let's
to
not stop here,
continue.
let's do something else. So the thing that I mentioned at the very beginning, content वाला part, वो again
Yeah.
transient ही है वो.
Yeah.
ऐसा नहीं है कि वो है. Of course, you always have to do something better than what you did.
Yeah.
तो
Yeah.
वो मतलब छोटे-छोटे targets होते हैं. And I do very well in terms of numerical targets.
Yeah. Yeah.
During COVID, I don't know. I lost a lot of weight, right? So
Okay.
I still have
Yeah.
videos on YouTube from the past 2015-16 की videos अगर मैं देखेंगे, then I look as if I have consumed myself in a way, right? Like it's that Monica from Friends kind of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
without prosthetics.
Yeah.
You actually want to speak about that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to weigh 100
Yeah.
kgs at some
Yeah.
point in time.
Oh.
Then COVID के time पे my knee started aching one fine day. I'm digressing थोड़ा, but
No, sir.
No,
we
no,
actually
of
we
course.
wanted to speak
We want
about
to speak
this.
about
So we're
this
happy you're
thing,
talking about it.
my knee started aching one day.
Yeah.
I just go ahead and some friend of mine says कि अच्छा my dad is an orthopedic surgeon and he's doing this webinar. I want more people to attend, so can you please attend it? Definitely, मैं वो करना, attend ही तो करना. I started attending this. Guy is saying कि अच्छा for every 1 kg that you gain, you end up putting 3.5 kg का pressure on your knee करके.
Right.
I'm like, हाँ, my knees ache. That much I realized.
Yeah.
And I thought कि I should do something about it. Right. So what May 2020 or so, I started. By August, September, May, June, July, September, 4-5 months, I lost 25 kgs. More or less.
Wow.
All by doing मतलब घर पे बैठ के. The
हाँ.
thing that helped me was COVID था. There was no outside food available.
Yeah.
घर
Very
का
happy.
खाना खाओ.
घर का खाना
खाना.
खाओ, कम खाओ.
हाँ.
Do your exercise.
Yeah.
Sugar, salt, oil,
सब
जितना हो
बंद.
सके
In control.
in control. Keep an eye on what you're doing. Right? 3-4 months of consistent things. It generally
The results
right?
start showing. Yeah.
21 days to build a habit वाला जो
Yeah,
होता है.
yeah. 21 days.
that is something that worked for me, and I'm
Yeah.
very good in terms of pursuing numbers. मतलब मेरे को पता है कि ये number है, I will like pursue it like crazy.
Go after
यही
it.
है. I will want to see improvements. तो जहाँ पे भी numerical चीज आता है, I will do well, and I'm sure a lot of people might identify with this.
Absolutely.
कि numerical targets होते हैं तो then they end up doing well. Some people
Yeah.
might feel pressurized क्योंकि वो number achieve करने नहीं हुआ तो क्या करेंगे?
हाँ.
Fear of failure आ जाता है, right?
Yeah.
But I do that. Recently, I started learning Spanish. ऐसे random Duolingo निकाला, I started. Finished some 26 days. I hope to continue. Let's.
But
Wow.
you're pretty fluent in it now.
नहीं,
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás again?
I only know Ola.
Hola, ¿qué pasa? All those things I know.
So gradually I'll start. But wait,
Yeah.
when there is a numerical goal, एक streak build करना है.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'm very driven.
Setting targets helps you
Setting
basically, and
Yes.
yeah, the 21 day thing is true. Like even with yoga, it's like you set that challenge and then 21 days you make it a habit, then it becomes your daily lifestyle. So, and so we can see it stuck with you.
Yeah, now I have-
still.
Now of course this is थोड़ा holiday weight and
We think it's quite good.
It can be better.
Yeah.
So, sir, because we're speaking about weight loss as well, generally what happens, I mean, now I'm coming thoda into the exam competitive,
Yeah.
study mode. What happens is students take their health for granted.
हाँ.
They're like, nahi yaar, itna padna hai. Now, the difference between the kind of people also, the kind of aspirants also, you have working professionals and you have freshies as well. Freshies who have all the time in the world to, study. मतलब कुछ नहीं, college है, घर आएंगे, पढ़ाई करेंगे. Working professionals, 9 to 5 or whatever you're working. Then घर आके to have that stamina to, sit and book खोल के पढ़ाई करनी है. It's very tough. I mean, so, and with that, your health also gets compensated. A lot of other things get compensated. So, sir, your advice firstly for the working professionals, as in, I mean, it's very subjective again and again. A person would be like, I'm okay with it. घर आके मैं पढ़ाई कर सकता हूँ. Another person will be like, I'm so dead at the end of the day कि पढ़ाई करने का मन ही नहीं करता. Then they look forward to the weekend कि weekend है, मुझे chill करना है, पढ़ाई नहीं करनी. So what is your advice to the working professionals in this scenario? In terms of health and in terms of the pressure, work, whatever it may be.
So see, you have to decide what you want to do in life, right? It's very cliched, and of course, not everybody likes to hear the truth.
Yeah.
Right. But then again, you have decided.
Right.
I am going to take this competitive test, for example.
Right.
या फिर I am going to do this certification. कुछ भी हो सकता है. Do this program, online program, जो भी. Right. I have decided that I want to do that. ऐसा नहीं था कि मेरे को पता ही नहीं था कि अरे ये प्रोग्राम आने वाला है एंड इसमें इतना लोड होगा एंड देन मेरा जॉब भी इतना डिफिकल्ट है कि मैं कर ही नहीं पा रहा करके. It's not as if that you didn't know about it at all, right? You knew about it. that it's going to happen. उसके बाद मतलब you have taken up an assignment, you have to deliver it at the end of the day. You have to think about it in the long term कि हो क्या रहा है करके, right? You have to prioritize at the end of the day. मतलब there will be 1,000 reasons why you will not be doing a certain thing, but you need one good reason to do that particular thing, right?
I think that's the best way. You need that one good reason.
You need that one good reason. So यहाँ पे MBA में भी in a lot of cases the first thing is you should know why you want to go for an MBA. We keep asking this, why MBA? Why people are like bored of it. अरे करना है मेरे को MBA, पैसा मिलने वाला है. End of the story, right?
Yeah.
But that is good motivation. But you haven't seen the money.
Yeah.
ठीक है, 1 month you earn your salary. You know what it feels like to have money in your account, money in your pocket, whatever. You feel like working the next month to get that thing. But मेरे को पैसा मिला नहीं अभी तक. मैं सिर्फ सोच रहा हूँ कि मेरे को पैसा मिलेगा. That is not a strong enough reason to hold my attention and compel me to do something which I might not inherently enjoy doing. Right? वो ख्याली पुला. जब होगा तब होगा, right? You just heard stories about people getting money, people buying cars, people going on holidays and all those things. कभी experience खुद से किया नहीं है.
So the desire of living that life, isn't that enough? You feel?
Not enough. मतलब you haven't tasted blood, so to say.
But जिनके पास वो नहीं है, वो कि मुझे वो चाहिए वैसा, that desire.
मतलब वही ना, वो that is disconnect है मतलब उस चीजों में, right? यहाँ वो desire के लिए, let's say I want to earn money in life. That is my only objective in life. Let's say for example. MBA करने का जरूरत नहीं है उसकी. मतलब हम लोग चीजों कॉम्प्लिकेट कर रहे हैं MBA कर, right? There are a million different ways to earn money. Right? Buy a lottery ticket, get lucky. End of the story. Right? Start something on your own. Invest money in stock markets.
Right.
Not good advice, but learn to trade futures and options.
Right.
For all you know, you might get lucky. I don't know.
Fair.
Right? Expiry के दिन बैठ के खरीद लो कोई option. Buy करके चलो कर लो. Again, not don't go for these things. It's definitely not what 95% of people lose money in derivatives.
Intraday.
Don't do it. I'm just saying, मतलब पैसा कमाने के बहुत तरीके होते हैं.
Yeah.
Pursue your passion, become a performer. कुछ भी कर सकते हो. YouTuber बन जाओ, कुछ भी करो. There are 1,000 different things that you can to earn money.
But so वो textbook है ना, करना क्या MBA करना है.
हाँ,
like
because you have seen a lot of people do it.
Right.
तो मैंने किसी को देखा है कि MBA किया पैसा कमाया करके. वो एसोसिएशन में खुद के पास लेके.
हाँ.
उसका मोटिवेशन का तो मेरे को नहीं पता.
Correct.
Right? And that motivation is bound to be overpowered by something else. Right? Desire is going to be overpowered by some other emotion of yours. अब वो कुछ भी हो सकता है. मतलब your body feels कि यार मेरे को ये चीज देखना है करके. तुम मेरे को ये देखने से क्यों रोक रहे हो? Right? I want to watch this one episode. I want to whatever play this 10 more minutes of this game, let's say for example. कुछ भी मेरे को करना. Why are you stopping me from experiencing this happiness? वो तुमको पैसा मिलेगा, वो मिलेगा 3 साल के बाद. But अभी का क्या करूँ मैं? 15 minutes का मेरे को instant gratification चाहिए, वो कहाँ से मिलेगा? Right? And that desire is very difficult to overpower with that other desire जहाँ पे मेरे को gratification मिल रहा है delayed 3 साल के बाद का. Right? So there your conflict comes into the picture. Generally that happens. Right? And then ये वाला part gives in. The point is you have to enjoy what you are doing. Right? I think I did well at the CAT and other tests when I was a serious aspirant was because I love solving questions. अब ये जो live solving भी the things that I do, right? Of course there is some theatrics involved, right? मेरे को करना है, मतलब I want to show it to a lot of people. वो है थोड़ा सा मतलब वो vanity वाला part आ जाता है उसमें. Right? कि I want people to see what's going on in this head career. So that gives me a kick. Right? वो है मतलब adrenaline rush आ जाता है.
I mean funny part about sir, so sorry sir I'm bringing this up, but I have seen n number of your live Simcat solvings. So what happens is sir solves it, चलो result देखते हैं. अरे सिर्फ इतना ही आया 99.99% 100%. अरे इतना अरे यहाँ पे ये गलती की मैंने. I mean he's so modest for aspirants like us. We are thinking अरे और क्या चाहिए लाइफ में यार, मतलब ये आ गया.
You got those comments ऐसे कि यार इसमें तो 3 लोग पास हो जाते हैं.
इसमें तो 3 लोग पास.
इतना तो वो है, मतलब that gives me a kick, one thing, right? But at the end of the day I love solving questions. That is the thing that gives me that kick.
Right.
Of course वो है, मतलब visibility है and all those things. People appreciate you for that effort and some people also say nasty things about you कि अरे तुम ये seat waste करते जा रहे हो यहाँ वहाँ पे. People say all that. ठीक है, fair enough. But then again I like solving questions. Problem solving is something that I am inherently good at one and मतलब I enjoy doing those things. Right? You have to enjoy your preparation.
Right.
अगर मैं प्रिपरेशन कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि मेरे को पैसा चाहिए करके, वो कुछ लिंक ही नहीं दोनों के बीच में. Like it's like reading a newspaper and being thinking about getting better at solving RCs.
Yeah.
कनेक्शन ही नहीं है. न्यूज़पेपर में एडिटोरियल लिखने वाले ने ये सोच के एडिटोरियल लिखा ही नहीं है कि तुम RC करोगे. Right? You are doing it because somehow you have seen somewhere or heard someone saying कि अरे ये करने से वो होगा. कनेक्शन ही नहीं है.
Correct.
Right? You have to solve questions.
Your own reason should be strong enough and clear to you as to why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Not because it's someone else's.
No.
Yeah.
That will never help you.
Yeah.
Sometimes see people might get lucky, people might actually do well at the test, even although they might not have a very strong motivation. हो सकता है.
So you think luck plays an important factor here?
99.9 से 100% जाने में luck plays an important factor.
Yeah.
Right? But otherwise मतलब 99.9 तक जाने में there is hardly any luck involved. मतलब that is pure effort. अब वो effort कहाँ पे डालते हैं that is very important.
Right.
मतलब I started preparing for the CAT when I was in my first standard. Unknowingly, but I started preparing for the कैसे randomly my mother used to ask me puzzles. कुछ तो कहीं पे मैथ्स का कुछ चल रहा है मैं कर रहा हूँ. स्कूल के अंदर 5th 6th स्टैंडर्ड में लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल सम टीचर इज नॉट प्रेजेंट तो हम लोग को असाइनमेंट दे देते हैं 1 से लेके 30 तक के टेबल लिखो और कुछ नहीं करना है. आई जस्ट हैव टू फिल दोस 1 hour.
Right.
I used to be very pumped up by the fact that I should be able to finish writing those tables first and raise my hand कि मेरा काम हो गया था. Right? That's
competitiveness आ ही रहता है.
And fun in doing the task itself.
I used to enjoy it. ये है मेरा मोटिवेशन होता है. 15 मिनट के अंदर मैं अगर सबसे पहले अपना हाथ उठा रहा हूँ इन दी क्लास देन मतलब आई फील गुड.
Felt good.
That was it. Right? उसमें सोचा है कि कैट होता है IIM अहमदाबाद होता है कुछ तो इतना LPA का CTC मिलता है ये करियर होता है.
But it all added up. Eventually
there is some book that is lying around मैं उठाया पढ़ना चालू कर दिया.
Right.
I never did it कि मेरा reading comprehension better होगा. Right? So all those things helped at the end of the day. Some people might cover this in 1.5 years of preparation. Some people might do it in 3 months.
Right.
But at the end of the day मतलब you have to enjoy what you are doing. You have to prepare hard for the test.
Right.
That is the hard work that will translate to a 99.9. Right? उसके बाद का वो coin toss ऐसा होता है मतलब whatever. There is a very again stocks में I'm getting into it. I taught myself a bit of finance during COVID. तो वो भी recently acquired knowledge है. But let's say for example there are 1,000 people who are there, right? And you are giving financial advice to them. 500 को बोलते हो खरीद लो, 500 को बोलते हो बेच दो, right? Whoever is right, you focus on that population. 250 people you say करो, 250 people you say बेचो. 125
कम होता जाता
है. The person at the end, right, will be the one who would have been lucky 9-10 times, right? 10 consecutive decisions उसके सही बैठे. And वो 1000 में एक का probability. ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब मैं millions में एक का बात कर रहा हूँ. Right? It's a coin toss kind of a thing. There will be one person out of 1000 who is going to get 10 consecutive answers. That's a big deal मतलब. फिर वहाँ पे लक आ जाता है. तो वैसे ही कैट के अंदर भी है. On the day of the test, of course I know people who have been consistently getting 100%. In fact, one of our mentors. I don't know if I should take his name. Scrambler, there is a guy.
Okay, I know him.
He's a legend in this space. 12 times 100%.
Wow.
12 times. So, मतलब वहाँ पे luck is not there on the honest. It's purely मतलब muscle memory and he's brilliant.
Genius.
But otherwise मतलब हाँ for most of the mere mortals, luck plays वो 0.1, 0.05 percentile में luck वाला part आता है.
So the other side of this is what we were discussing before we came to do this shoot. There was a question everyone often says you should study smart. But what does study smart mean? Does it really actually mean something? Because for some people, what takes maybe, like you said, sir, many years of preparation, someone can do that in 1.5 years or 1 year.
Yes.
So the amount of time that someone takes is of course subjective. So what is your view on this study smart concept that everybody says, beta, don't study hard, study smart, you know? So what does...
See, people in general don't like when someone tells you कि इसमें hard work लगेगा. Right? People don't like
hearing that.
It is fine. मतलब मेरे को भी कोई बोले कि अरे बहुत मेहनत करना है ऐसे करके. People will be like ये 5 चीजें कर ले तेरे को 90 percentile मिल जाएगा. I'll be अच्छा this sounds to be good advice. Let me focus on this करके, right? तो study smart कुछ नहीं होता. वहाँ पे भी you have to study. Study hard भी कुछ नहीं होता. You have to study. The adjective study is more important. The verb study is more important than the qualifier adverb. जो भी है. You can say study intensely. It will mean the same thing mostly. But end of the day, मतलब वही है. You should enjoy. You should enjoy preparation. If you are not curious enough to solve a particular question. मतलब randomly, right? You ask me कुछ भी मतलब. I'm not saying ask me, but let's say वैसे कुछ पूछ लेगा कि अरे मतलब whatever. इस चीज का कितना estimate होगा करके. मतलब let's say कितना how many videos can you deliver in a year? Randomly you ask me a question. ठीक है. I want to answer that question. ऐसा नहीं है कि there are people who get scared. अरे question पूछ लिया, गलत हो गया तो क्या होगा? Right?
So you are not afraid of being wrong as well.
No. I'm perfectly okay
Fine
being.
Or you're that confident कि अरे मैं बोलूँगा तो सही बोलूँगा.
नहीं. मतलब I'm okay being wrong, but कुछ logic होना चाहिए, right?
Yeah.
So I will say कि mostly हाँ ठीक है चलो, you have day jobs जो होते हैं. 5 days a week maybe you will be occupied.
Right.
You will have 52 weekends. 104 हैं. एक एपिसोड को प्लान करने के लिए मे बी यू टेक 3 वीकेंड्स, मे बी दिवाली वगैरह का छुट्टी छोड़ दो. 10 पॉडकास्ट सीरीज व्हाट आई कैन सेफली से अलोंग विद योर फुल टाइम जॉब. तो वैसे वो थॉट प्रोसेस होगा दिमाग में. बट देन आई वांट टू गिव एन आंसर, राइट? अगेन गोइंग बैक टू माइकल जॉर्डन, लास्ट डांस, राइट? देयर आर 3 seconds, 5 seconds on the clock. Do you want the ball coming to you or you want the ball to be किधर तो but मेरे पास नहीं है भाई. मेरे को I don't want to be responsible be it for the victory or the defeat. नहीं, I am in charge. मैं वो basket करूँगा. I will get that 3 point. तो वो that confidence you should have. तो वो study hard, study smart you mentioned. You have to study, you have to enjoy. And then of course धीरे धीरे it's physiology at the end of the day. मतलब ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि हम लोग कुछ अलग इंजीनियरिंग करें जो किसी को पता ही नहीं. इट्स लाइक लर्निंग टू प्ले द गिटार. लेट्स से फर्स्ट डे यू विल हैव अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट टाइम स्ट्रमिंग नहीं होगा, ये भी नहीं होगा, कॉर्ड्स भी स्विच नहीं होंगे, देयर विल बी अ लॉट ऑफ डिफिकल्टीज, राइट? बट धीरे धीरे होगा. व्हाई डज दैट हैपन?
The more you do it, the more you practice,
right? So your nervous system, people who have had biology in their 11th 12th standard, maybe before that, right? You have something called as myelinated nerves and non-myelinated nerves. बहुत ही सिंपल तरीके से करेंगे तो इम्पल्स या तो ऐसे सीधा जा सकता है या तो जंप करके जा सकता है. जंप कब होता है? जब बीच में there is that myelin sheath covering that gets developed. That gets developed if you keep on doing the same thing again and again.
Right.
If it jumps and goes, it travels faster. So then you will see yourself switching your chords much more seamlessly, strumming happening.
Right.
So myelination is basically the goal of your study as well.
Right.
The day I might be completely wrong in terms of biology. If people point it out, then I'm sorry.
But maybe in a logical sense.
Mostly I'm right. But I might be. but at the end of the day, मतलब that is what I have told myself. It's a good story to tell yourself. If you tell yourself good stories, your brain will know कि अच्छा practice करने से आगे बढ़ता है. Convince हो गया मेरा. Now I will not be afraid of practicing. फिर वो hard है, smart है, it doesn't matter.
So I want to like backtrack a little. I mean, this is a little personal. You may choose not to answer it if you want to. The reason that you got into this venture, I would say, is it partly because of the money involved? You can answer it if you want to, if you cannot answer
with
it.
IMS or with learning groups?
I would say with both. I mean, because the trajectory is the same. At the end, you're teaching only. So did you partly get involved with it because of the money as well?
Yeah,
or okay,
definitely. So see, there are two aspects to it, Madhav. And again, I didn't know how to articulate it better. Maybe before a couple of years, but now I can maybe articulate it in a better manner. So there is money that you need and there is money that you deserve. Right. There are two different aspects to it. I have money that I need. Right. That is not a problem at all. Okay, I don't want to say it if someone from IMS is listening, but maybe even if they pay me 50% of what they're doing right now, मेरा घर चल जाएगा. Right. But then there is money that you deserve. That you firmly believe कि नहीं मतलब मैं इतना value लेके आ रहा हूँ तो I deserve that kind of. Now you can use that money to do whatever you want.
Right.
It's not about कि वो है करके. But then वही है. तो I always feel that, and everybody feels, I'm sure, that they deserve more money than what they earn. तो monetary aspect आता है यार मतलब.
It is a consideration.
I'm Ahmedabad में there is a canteen that's called Tan's Staffel acronym. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Right? It's called that.
Wow.
I don't know if it's still called that. It used to be called that.
Yeah.
But मतलब it's a fact of life. मतलब वो नहीं होता.
I mean, you require money to survive in this world, no doubt about it.
And I think you need to have the sweet spot of need plus your how much you feel you deserve. I think once you cross a certain level where your needs are fulfilled, then it comes to more of what you're giving, perhaps. But money is important. It's an important facet of life. Nothing works.
There's this concept called Ikigai.
The Japanese.
Like 4 aspects to it, right?
Yes.
तो वो मतलब monetary आता है उसके अंदर. ऐसा नहीं है कि financially rewarding नहीं है तो फिर भी.
So is the monetary? I mean, considering again, if I don't know if I should say this or not, a lot of money is there. Is that also a motivating factor कि इतना है मुझे और चाहिए वैसा?
Again, people get
ambition.
People have different ways of dealing with this, right?
No, what's yours?
I have always driven. So मतलब if I at some point in time, let's say, reach a 20 crores corpus, let's say for example, which might be good enough for me to fire, financially independent, retire early, right? For me to fire, I would not want to do that.
Okay.
I would want to see it grow from a 20 to a 40, 40 to an 80, 80 to 100, right? So that kind of a thing I'm at this point in time, of course, I don't have that kind of money. So I can say whatever I want to. but then again, I think if I reach or when I reach that point in time, I would always want to grow it to
more
the next level.
Yeah. So could you explain Ikigai like in a short, maybe 1 or 2 minutes? This will give us a good reel clip. But if you could genuinely explain that and how maybe that's fit into your life.
So I will have to check the exact 4 things that are there. I'm not very sure of those 4 things that are there.
Just the concept works also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, Ikigai as a concept, if you look at it, there should be something that you are actually good at doing. It should be something that is monetarily rewarding, that has some scope that is there. It is something that should have some impact on the environment around you. It should be fulfilling, right? So those are basically the basic tenets of Ikigai, so to say. Whatever is at the sweet spot, that is what you have to do so as to be financially well off and to have peace of mind while doing that. There will be minor overlaps that will be there. I'm good at doing something, but then I don't really enjoy doing it. Right. So maybe that is not in that center of that entire intersection. So that is basically Ikigai.
Okay.
That intersection will help you do well in it.
And when you find that for yourself, that's where you are.
At the end of the day, it's about self-exploration, right? You realize something can be worked upon. You focus your energies on that bit, and you end up becoming a reformed individual. You always have to believe that there is something that can be improved in yourself, right? Nobody is perfect. There is always scope for improvement. You just have to ensure that you are focusing on things. So, honestly speaking, there are a lot of things that I want to do in life, which I am not good at, which I'm sure people my age are really good at. Like say driving a car, for example. I'm not very confident about doing it. At some point in time, I intend to
be more confident.
To be more comfortable driving a car. I learned to cycle last year. So those kind of things. I'm still not very confident about swimming. So those are the things that I wish to do.
I think sir is going in the reverse order. हम अभी पढ़ रहे हैं, sir already पढ़ चुके हैं, सब कर चुके हैं.
See, I had a lot of fear of failure. मतलब that shy individual जो बचपन में था ना, I always used to be scared. मैं अगर साइकिल से गिर गया या किसी ने मेरे को देख लिया फेल होते हुए, तो then I don't want people to see me, or I didn't want people to see me fail because I was not very confident about myself.
So was that fear a motivating factor for you?
Which one?
कि यार फेल नहीं होना, लोग क्या बोलेंगे, मैं लगा दूंगा पढ़ाई.
Might be. But then मतलब there are certain things जहाँ पे मतलब I let go of that fear of it. And I focused purely on improving myself. Certain things जहाँ पे मतलब I couldn't overcome it at all, and इतना उसको पीछे कर दिया कि वो कभी आया ही नहीं बाहर, right? And then now I'm realizing that all these things exist, and I want to do those, and I'm very happy doing those things.
Right. Okay. So it is a bit of a rapid fire. It's definitely not Karan Johar style, but it is still in a serious yet fun, maybe little frivolous way.
Okay.
We'll take your opinions on the questions that come. So you want to start?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
So, sir, this is by far the most asked question, at least, and we wanted your opinions on it as well. MBA in India, versus an MBA abroad. According to you, which is more impactful at the end of the day? What's your view on it?
Depends. So depends on what your long-term career prospects are. If you are looking at settling abroad, then MBA abroad. If you are looking at settling in India, then MBA in India. You can't be doing an MBA abroad and coming back. You can't be spending in dollars and earning in rupees. That is that equation that you have to manage. But otherwise, both of them have their merits. Both of them are equivalent, to be honest.
But so you have a lot of people being like, no, I just want to get my education out and then I want to come baback and settle in my country.
But you run the risk of not being
paid enough
rewarded
for
as much as
your ROI won't be that good.
मतलब थोड़ा skew होता है ना, मतलब you're spending 80 lakhs 1 CR maybe doing an MBA from an Ivy League college or whatever, and then you come back here and then you are sitting and fighting at 1/3 of the salary.
Right.
Might not be immediately financially rewarding. So you do it because you get those stay-back opportunities, because you get that kind of a network there, because you get a global brand name. वो सब चीज लेके फिर you can't really come and fight this battle.
So if you're settling there, do it there. Otherwise, and keeping in mind your conversion rate of how much you're putting in and how much you're getting back. Okay. So my next question is, which one should I go with? I'm thinking.
You can, whatever.
Okay, chalo, let's go with this one. This is one that I have myself toiled with actually, so that's why I wanted to ask you. And I know many people around me as well particularly people of our age, because we've just graduated from our bachelor's and now we're either doing a master's or going towards it. So there are so many master's programs, specializations across all the fields. I mean, there's n number of degrees available to pursue. So in this day and age where you have so many options versus maybe in the olden times when your options were limited, there was MBA, maybe there was law, there were select few fields, right? Yes. Engineer or CA, whatever. So what's the relevance of an MBA in today's day and age according to you? And why should people who still look at it as an option do it? What value does it bring to that A, B or C person?
So an MBA mostly adds soft skills to you, honestly, right? Content wise, you can read a book and can learn the principles of marketing, let's say. Financial analysis kar sakte ho, right? But an MBA will give you that exposure in terms of developing the soft skills. Especially when it comes to say situations like a COVID या फिर economic downturn चल रहा है, right? The people who will be let go और ये पूरा AI का जो whatever uncertainty exists, वहाँ पे the people who will probably be let go will be the ones who are mostly good at certain skills in terms of hard skills, let's say.
Yeah.
जहाँ पे मतलब they are good at coding, let's say, or they are good at writing Excel sheets, जो भी मतलब analyzing Excel sheets and all those things. जो quantitative data जो कर सकते हैं. The things that AI will find difficult, at least in the near future, is in terms of having empathy, in terms of bringing that human element to things. So MBA will give you that exposure, right? How to work in a team, how to ensure that you are keeping all aspects in mind before arriving at a decision. From experience, how do you learn? So all those things is what an MBA builds into you. That's why an MBA is thoda immortal as a career choice, at least in the near future.
Next one also you take.
Yeah. So this happened in 2020. It was the first time in the history of the examination that happened. From a 3-hour exam, it became a 2-hour exam. Obviously, I'm talking about CAT. Your view on that? Do you think 2 hours karke अच्छा किया है? Or they should have left it at 3 hours only? Probably give students more time to think. Obviously, you had more number of questions as well. But CAT as a 2-hour paper or CAT as a 3-hour paper?
It doesn't matter, honestly. Right?
Okay.
A 2-hour paper makes it more challenging. 40 minutes का ये.
Right.
जितना shorter the test becomes, जितना fewer the number of questions become, the more you are dependent on, so you can say luck, right? Because you might have studied a particular topic, उसमें से अगर 5 question आ जाते हैं, great. 1 set you crack, great. 1 set you miss, नीचे चला जाता है, right? So वो margins थोड़े कम होते जाते हैं.
Right.
If it's a 2-hour test, I would like a longer test, or I would like a shorter test with more questions. I would always like a speed test, like what used to happen CAT एकदम 90s में 2 hours का test 150 questions, right? It used to be something like that.
Okay.
150, 180 questions.
Okay.
FMS used to have 2 hours, 200 questions.
Oh.
Back then. So I like these kind of tests because वहाँ पे there is a lot to do.
Yeah.
With the same difficulty level as CAT has?
Slightly lower, I would say.
Okay.
But वही बोल नहीं सकते, मतलब एक set है जो difficult है.
Yeah.
You spend time on that, वो opportunity cost.
You need to identify.
So a follow-up after this, as you finish, what should one do to increase his speed and accuracy in the exam? As you're explaining our question he asked.
So, I prefer that test. जहाँ पे मतलब you have like more questions and less time, because वहाँ पे तुम्हारा decision making ज़्यादा अच्छे से test होता है. You have a 3-hour test, let's say with 50 questions, no fun.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody will be able to complete it more or less.
Correct. Less competition.
मतलब if it, then the scores get very closely knitted. तो वो वैसे नहीं चाहिए. So that 2-hour test of course makes it more competitive. There is more, it's more dynamic. So to say, that is one thing. And in terms of how to solve questions or how to become quicker, you have to keep on challenging yourself when you are practicing.
Okay, I'm going to take your phone for the next one.
Yeah.
Here's a popular question, and we'll take a couple more before we end, just 2 or 3 more, because keeping time in mind. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Please, I mean, it's our pleasure.
I can talk for hours.
I mean, sir, it's really, it's very, we are also getting to know so much in terms of, both of us are aspirants in terms of like a lot of things. He's an aspirant in the field of one particular thing. I'm an aspirant in the field of one particular thing. But the knowledge remains the same at the end.
And the experience of how you get there.
Yeah.
Knowing from someone who is an expert in that area of being a successful person means you're an expert at being successful in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, very well said. I mean, that's the best way.
It's not necessarily a subject matter expert, which of course you are, but even like Michael Jordan can be a beacon of inspiration for people across streams. So
of course,
we look at you as that, sir.
Even I'm an aspirant also. As I mentioned, a lot of things that I keep on doing here and there.
Yeah.
You should always keep on learning. You can't stop learning one fine day.
Definitely. Sir.
Well said, sir. Okay, so I'll come to the next one. There was a lot of drama with the CET exam this year, I think itself, because there was a re-exam. There was some problem with the marking and there was some issue. So
court case every year happens.
Yes. Court case. So it goes really haywire. Every year there is some trouble or the other. This year the drama was of course high. So what is your opinion on that? Is it called for, uncalled for? How do you solve it? What do you say?
There has been injustice. Obviously, people will react, right?
Yeah.
And there is a reason why people react. So at some level, see, people or the test conducting authorities have to understand whether they want to do it or not, right? So to put it very bluntly, FMS one fine day decided we don't want to conduct it anymore.
Yeah.
Why? Because and it was a very big step from FMS's end, right? Because you lose control over one part of the admission process. But then again, it was too much effort to create that test. फिर वो test gets judged every year.
Correct.
One fine year it so happened that FMS borrowed a lot of questions from one of previous year FMS papers. तो ऐसे काफी चीजें होती थी. Right? Some went noticed, some went unnoticed. ऐसे होता है. But then again, you have to realize कि मतलब can I play this?
Yeah.
Game की तरह मतलब God doesn't play dice.
Yeah.
Right? I was just watching or we watched Oppenheimer.
Okay.
It's one of those quotes. Right?
I haven't seen the movie, so I didn't catch the reference.
So, God doesn't play dice. That's the quote, right? So वही है. So you can't play with aspirants' future. There are a lot of people who prepare only for CET. We have been actively advising people to not do that, considering there's so much of uncertainty.
So CET is luck based according to you?
Not luck based. See, again, there is a lot of nuance. CET maybe. मतलब okay, to give you some context. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 6 consecutive years, I scored a 99.99 percentile at the CET, which is the highest percentile that someone can get, right? So then वो luck वाला factor निकल जाता है उस time पे, right? But so you can always plan and get into a JBIMS. I am more concerned about the fact or the manner in which it is conducted in a way, right?
Do you think a different testing agency should come in?
There used to be, IBPS used to do it for 5 years. 16 till 20 IBPS did it, and I think they did a decent job.
Like how
you said the 6 CET 99, you did a Michael Jordan.
I did.
3-peat 6 times together.
And I had one more 99.99 in 2010.
Wow.
So that was 100, right?
The highest that someone can get at the CET in most cases is 99.9.
So now when the list comes out, it's 100, it's written over.
The last couple of years they have started doing that 100. But
no, you can continue. I got so excited when I realized it, I was like, I have to say it.
I just wanted to see कि कितना दूर तक stick जाता है करके. I was like 4 years, let me try one more year. चलो 5 करते हैं. 5 हो गया फिर चलो एक और करते 6 करते हैं. Then I was like ठीक है. Then after that 21 के बाद I haven't.
That's what Michael Jordan also did. But that's what Jordan also did. He retired after his 6th championship. He was like, हो गया अब मेरा.
I might do it again this year.
Let's see.
But वो मतलब that uncertainty is something that honestly I don't like. मतलब 1 year the test happens in August, the course starts in November.
Then
1 year it has been announced to be in March. फिर result बोलते एक दिन आएगा फिर नहीं आता. There's a lot of uncertainty.
Too much uncertainty.
नहीं मतलब I would not put all my eggs in the CET basket.
Right.
To be very honest. Right. I would keep it as an option. Of course, JB is a fantastic institute to be a part of.
Right.
But then again, मतलब इतना uncertainty नहीं कर.
So I was going to go for the final question. You want to have a look? You want to ask?
And at IIFT, that all I think that I was mentioning, right? So IIFT used to be a lovely test purely because they had that crossword kind of a thing. कुछ kangaroo words करके पूछ लिया एक दिन. Right? So they had a fun element to that test, which was unpredictable.
Right.
DI के अंदर कुछ भी question पूछ लिया. One option is 13.37, 13.39. Nice questions. Challenging questions, right? And it's a different flavor.
Right.
So test prep maybe not a lot of people are comfortable dealing with a lot of different styles of tests. Some people are very good at solving attritional वाले tests. That भी छोड़ दो. CAT, let's say. जो 3 घंटा 2 घंटा बैठ के करना है. कम questions है, but you have to get into the depth of it.
Right.
Some people are really good at solving speed-based tests. Like say an NMAT, a CET. वो सब है, right? Very few people are there जो दोनों type के tests handle कर सकते हैं. IIFT, ZAT and all. I feel very proud of myself.
But you can handle
being able to handle those kind of things, right? And तो ये validation है मेरे लिए कि IIFT जो बना है. So the test is nicely curated and it's a fair test. I like it. ZAT का भी वैसे ही है, मतलब they will do something new in terms of the test.
And they have a separate section. DM is there.
DM is there.
Yeah.
अब वो DM मतलब ठीक है, I will not agree to some of the answers that they provide.
Yeah, it's very subjective.
Very subjective, honestly, right? Might disagree, but हाँ ठीक है, मतलब at least they are putting in effort.
Right.
As an aspirant, I will be very distressed कि अरे ये क्या हो गया करके. As a test aficionado, I like it. As a mentor, मतलब they should not do it. थोड़ा standardization होना चाहिए.
Correct.
तो मेरे 3 अलग-अलग perspective हैं इसके अंदर.
Because then there's too much, I mean, opinion can differ. There's too much difference of opinion. Okay. Should I go for the last one? You want to ask something? Okay.
I think let's.
Okay. So the final question, it's. I think it's still part of the rapid fire. You can say, it's just a closing note.
And I'm sure Sir would have answered this.
Yeah. This is nothing new. We probably asked you this through the interview as well.
Yeah.
But final question, because CAT 2023 is coming up. Advice to people who are going to be giving the exam right now, and in general to future aspirants also. What would you like to say? Closing words and any advice that comes from within for you, from your own plethora of experience, and for us as well.
You are taking CAT 2023.
I am, sir. Like, well, I'm preparing for GMAT actually.
Okay.
I'm taking CAT. I mean, I'm taking CAT. It's like that.
So you might not like what I'm going to say next.
No, so like I've taken CAT before. I got through ZAT as well. Didn't clear the interview round.
Well,
but then I decided I want to focus on GMAT. So I've been focusing on that right now.
But so CAT 23 के लिए what I advise, and I did it in one of the last few videos as well. Your scores have already been entered. What is left for your scorecard should be printed. तो अभी मतलब last 15 days, 16 days में there is not a lot that will change. Right? You can only go downhill from here. तो मेरा बहुत ही ऐसे negative सा take होता है ये सब चीजों में. Last few days में when people ask कि करना क्या करें, you already done what you wanted to do, right? ऐसा कुछ नहीं है जो मुझे करना था but मैं कर नहीं पाया from the last 6 months and that I'm going to do in 16 days, वो नहीं होने वाला. Right? You just have to be in a good frame of mind. Back your prep, whatever you have done till now, mostly वैसा ही होने वाला है. It isn't going to be a surprise, most probably. Of course, there could be surprises. मतलब I went from a AR1 to a 93.79, तो surprises हो ही सकते हैं, of course. But then again, there won't be any major surprises in terms of the outcome. What you have to do is accept. भाई ये है, do it properly. If you have always been getting that 80-85 percentile in the mocks, most probably you are going to end up in the 90 to 95 percentile का bracket. If you do the same things on the day of the test, make peace with that fact. कि भाई मेरे को 90-95 percentile मिल रहा है, own it.
So I want to ask this one small question before we end. Why an MBA according to you?
So honestly speaking, it gives you 2 years. Right? It gives you 2 years to transform yourself. मतलब बहुत ही ज़्यादा extrapolate हो गया, but हाँ मतलब I saw that transformation in myself in 2 years. Right? So that's why I generally say it gives you 2 years to do whatever you want to do. There is a curriculum that is involved. There will be tests. There will be a lot of activities on campus. Placements होंगे, बहुत सारा pressure होगा. But then you also get time to do something that you really want. It helps you learn what you want to do. Marketing करना है, finance करना है, वहाँ से लेके would you like to do something on your own? Would you like to handle a team? What is the kind of individual that you want to become? ये guest speaker को देख के मैं inspire हो गई, whatever. Right? So those decision making के 2 साल तुमको मिलता है. Right? And that is valuable. मतलब कोई भी program 2 साल नहीं देगा मतलब for you to develop yourself as an individual. Right? So for me, it's mostly about developing your personality. Find out, acceptance is the first step towards becoming better, right? Accept that there is something that is missing in your personality. Try to work on it. 2 साल is good enough for you to do that. So that is MBA for me.
Wow.
I mean, so
I think what a note to end on. I mean,
he couldn't explain it more better. I feel it's like crystal clear.
You can see us stumped at the end.
Because
of
I
this.
think 60% or at least 70% of the podcast is we're just looking at you like okay like that. Like there's so much that we don't know that that we have got to hear from Sir today. And I mean, thank you so much, Sir. Again, it means a lot to us. And I think we come to a close.
We come to a close. We wish you and your wife and your family, sir, very happy Diwali. Thank you for having us in your home. For all the people watching, we're in Sir's home and it's a lovely home. Thank you so much for hosting us, sir.
So hope you can bless us.
always.
Yes, sir.
Even though we're hosting you on our show, it's at your house. So thank you so much,
no
sir.
Problem. Happy Diwali to all of you. All the viewers, happy Diwali.
Thank you so much.
All of you do well.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Great.
All right. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching,
guys.
and
see you
in the next one.
Bye.